You're listening to Homeschool Unrefined. I'm Maren.
And I'm Angela. Let's encourage each other, laugh, and get real about homeschool. Welcome to the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. You've got episode 73, where we learn how to homeschool.
Yes, thank you so much for all of you listening today. It's so great to meet some of you on social media. We love hearing from you. Please keep the messages coming. If you like our show, we'd love a review on iTunes. That always helps other people find us who might not know us yet. So please do that. We would really appreciate that. But as always, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah. So glad you're here. So glad to get to know you. We actually have a big announcement. We started a Patreon page, and it's launching today.
Very exciting.
Which is so exciting. So we just wanted to tell you a little bit about why we decided to do that.
Yeah.
And what that is. So Patreon is a place for different creators to have people give them support.
Right.
And then in return, when you support a person on Patreon, you get like different gifts, thank you gifts in return.
Yes. And we just wanted to share our mission more, which is we want to encourage parents to feel like they are enough for their kids, that what they're doing is great. And we want to encourage parents not to compare themselves with all the other homeschool parents doing other amazing things. And just to remember what you're doing for your own children is wonderful. We, obviously want to keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. And we want to spread that message to more and more parents so they just feel good about what they're doing.
Right. Parenting in general is just hard, and there's a lot of comparing that goes on when you're a parent. But I think when you're a homeschool parent, it's even heightened.
Definitely.
It's more heightened because we're also insecure about this thing that we're doing that's countercultural.
Yeah.
And the culture is telling us we should be doing it this one way, but we're deciding to do it a different way. And so then we're always feeling like we're just not doing it quite right.
Exactly. And so, this Patreon site is a lot just to support that kind of mission, to spread the word of that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So we would like to be able to do more for you.
Yes.
We would like to be able to put out more and better episodes. And so this is the way that we are going to be able to do that. So we have 3 different levels of giving. If you give at a $3 level a month, then you get one. We are doing another part of our podcast. It's called Homeschool Unrefined Off the Record. It's another extra episode each month. So we're going to be doing one extra episode each month. At least. And that will be unedited mostly. So you'll get us just being really raw.
Real.
Yep. And we're going to be talking about homeschool and homeschool adjacent topics. So, we might talk about things like marriage or parenting or food
or books or movies.
Yeah, right? Just like anything. Yeah. And we might talk about homeschool too. So,
right. Definitely.
And we have some outtakes we might put in there. We've been kind of saving those up.
Yeah.
We have some things that we would maybe feel most comfortable sharing with a smaller group of people.
Right. Like maybe we might just go a little deeper, with people, a smaller group. I don't know. There's just something psychological about that maybe. Go a little deeper there.
Yeah. So we actually just recorded our first episode that is out today. So if you join today at the $3 level, you can listen to that. And what that is we did a bonus episode last week where we got to know us better. We helped you guys to get to know us a little bit better. So we put some extra questions into that Patreon episode.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So you can go there and hear those extra questions if you want.
Get to know us more. Better.
Getting to know us better. I think that's what we called it.
We hemmed and hawed over that. Very deep title.
Yeah. So, and then if you give at the $8 level, $8 a month level, you get those monthly episodes. And then you also can be in a Voxer chat group with Maren and I and a small group of people who may decide to do that too. So basically, we get to be friends with you in real life.
Which is what we want to do.
Yeah.
We're so excited about this.
Yeah. So we hope some people want to do that because we'd love to be voxing with you guys.
Definitely.
And then if you give at the $20 level, you get both of those things, and you can get one-on-one coaching with either Maren or I, or maybe both of us, totaling about 2 hours a month. So if you feel like you need a little bit extra support or encouragement, or maybe some ideas, or maybe just somebody to talk through things with, we would love to be that support for you.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
So you can go right now to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined, and you can see our page, and you can see a little video that we recorded.
Yep.
So for the first time, we recorded a video. It's about 3 minutes long.
It's very
so
simple,
if you want to see,
but
it's very simple.
Straightforward.
Yeah. So you should go watch that for sure.
Yeah. All right. So Angela, I saw on Instagram today you thought ahead and planned a crock pot meal for tonight.
I did.
Way to go.
Thanks.
What did you make?
Well, chili.
Nice.
Chili. It's. I know it's warm out, so it's not really chilly weather. I mean, but
it's kind of rainy.
It's a little rainy. In my defense, it is the one meal, literal one meal that everybody in my family will eat
and can eat. Yeah.
And that I can eat, and that we have leftovers.
That is so nice.
And everybody likes. And so it's it's not my easiest meal.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a go-to when I want to make sure everybody eats.
Well, way to go. So did you do anything ahead of time to prep for that? I mean, do you have to
I took out the meat. I don't saute.
Oh, you don't?
I just took it out last night out of the freezer. So I was really thinking ahead. Because like yesterday was kind of a rough day rough in that I didn't have any ideas for any meals.
Yeah.
And we didn't eat till like 8 o'clock at night.
So tough.
Because I just couldn't think.
I know.
And then I was like,
those days.
I have got to do better tomorrow.
Yep.
So I usually have everything for chili, to make chili. And so, I just have to have the hamburger. So I took the hamburger out last night, and that was me thinking ahead. But then
Very smart.
I had to when I got up this morning, I had to put it in the crock pot,
So you put
and it just
raw
kind of
hamburger?
takes a while.
You just put raw hamburger in the crock pot.
Yeah.
And then put all the stuff in with it at the same time.
Yep. Why not?
I know. I just had an aha moment. Boom.
I kind of like it a little better.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It feels I don't know. It's just more crumbly.
Yeah. So, but it comes in like a big brick, right?
Yeah, I break it up with my hands.
You do when you put it in there. You
throughout the day, I kind of chomp a little.
Okay. Because I think that's my hang up there is like I don't want a big cooked brick at the end of the day.
No, you break it up.
Okay. That's great. I'm trying to picture how that would work. But crumbling up in your hands is that's a good picture. Okay, good.
And then I have one child who won't eat any kind of tomato unless it's like a very smooth sauce.
Yes.
It can be a very smooth sauce, but any chunk is just he won't eat it. Yeah. And so I have to put it through the blender, which is an extra step. But I want him to eat it, so I do.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just chop any veggies that I have, and I put them in there. Just
Great.
Anything.
Yeah. And then seasonings? What kind of seasonings?
Seasonings.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I always like to ask about seasonings. I mean,
salt, parsley, garlic. Usually I do basil and oregano, but I didn't because I used spaghetti sauce this time, which had it in it. So,
right. That's true.
That's it.
Great. So nice.
Yeah.
What did you? I have no idea what I'm making for dinner tonight, to be honest.
Okay.
But the good news is I do have some, well, we just talked about this actually in our Patreon episode, but we have a meal box service, plated right now. So we're just finishing up that week. We're not doing it anymore after this, but
so you have one of those meals. Yeah. So that's what
the only thing is, because of my limited diet, I probably can't eat much of it. I can eat like the meat of meat, and so that's why we're not doing it anymore. It's not really working. It's not working for me. Yeah. But it works for everybody else, but sometimes that's nice too. It's like at least everybody else gets fed, and then I can figure out my own stuff too. So
yeah.
So I'll pick one of those tonight.
Yeah. But you have more than one.
Yeah. Well, we have this like a whole week's full of things. So I mean, I think I have 2 or 3 meals.
Okay.
I was just thinking though yesterday, because last night my husband was working late. He was, had a big dinner or whatever. And so I was thinking, oh great, I don't have to make us a big meal, because I just feel like it's so low key when Sean's not here.
Right.
Dinner is. So I just made rice in my Instant Pot, which is my favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is my favorite. Yep.
Yep.
Because it takes 8 minutes or less.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I remember last night I was thinking, I am so glad I have this Instant Pot, because I do not think ahead. I do not think ahead. And thankfully I did have a pound of ground beef, and just sauteed that up with, I think, maybe some onions and some coconut aminos.
And then added to the rice.
Added it to the rice on top, and it was delicious.
Yum. Sounds good.
Yeah. Cut up some raw veggies for the side.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah. That's what I always do when I don't know what veggie to do.
Yeah. My kids like raw veggies better anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I always feel like I'm cheating, but it's not.
It's not. It actually sometimes can be better.
Yeah.
When they're raw. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's great. Well, today we are talking about how to homeschool.
Yes.
Because, well, we know that a lot of people who are just starting out really feel lost at the beginning. What am I supposed to do? How would I even do this? How should I go about it? And so we just thought it would be good to do a whole episode about what to think, the things to think about, and what steps to take when you're actually deciding to do it. Yeah.
And in episode 71, we talked about where you're considering homeschool, and we just had so much more to say about, we needed to follow up with that. Mm-hmm. So much to say about after you're done considering homeschool, then what? So that's
how do you actually do it?
That's what this episode is for. Yes.
Yeah. What are you actually doing?
Yeah. You made the decision. You've done nothing else. Here's what you can do.
Right. Yeah. So, the first thing that we thought about, so this could be different depending on your situation,
Mm-hmm.
if you've either been in school before or if you haven't. But the first thing you should do is start really small,
Mm-hmm.
and you might need to deschool, and we can talk about what that means, and or not do much right away.
Right.
So if you've been in school, if your child has been in school, you're going to want to have a period of deschooling. And we've talked about this before in other episodes, but just to reiterate what that would be is just a break between the traditional school experience and the homeschool experience. Yeah. And that might be, a week long. It might be a couple months long. It might be several months long.
Right.
Depending on your child and the situation and everything. But during that time, you probably wouldn't do many traditional academics, but you might do lots of great conversations
Mm-hmm.
and going to the library and downtime to explore your interests, for your child to explore his or her interests, or going on field trips, things like that.
This is just a breather. I mean, and sometimes we need long breathers. Sometimes we need indefinite breathers. That's okay. Right. I think you cannot, it's real hard to make a decision when you haven't had that time. When you're making a decision about where am I going with my homeschool situation here, mm-hmm. It's hard to just make that decision without having some downtime. Right. And just maybe watching and observing your child in their natural state, and and your child is going to need to decompress too. If they've been in public school or, been done something else for a while, there needs to be space. Our minds need to wander. Our bodies need to rest. Our souls just need to, sigh. We just need to be able to reflect. We need time to reflect, all of us, kids, adults, all of us. We just need time. And you need to reconnect. You need time to reconnect. And a lot of times, if you've had a busy schedule in the past, maybe that hasn't happened as much, and maybe maybe that's why you decided to homeschool, one of the reasons. And so I think the first thing that needs to happen in a homeschool experience is connection. So deschooling is such a good way to do that.
Right. And like you just said too, observing your child in their natural state. I mean, when they're in school, that's not necessarily their natural state.
Right.
They need time to, like you said, take a breather and sigh and think to themselves, what am I really interested in? Not necessarily what homework do I have or what projects am I working on for school, but what things really interest me. And they need time to explore that. And you need time to observe them.
Right. And, that natural state probably isn't going to happen the day after you pull them out of school or the first day you decide to homeschool. I mean, just think of yourself on like the first day of a vacation. You're just you're just training your mind to stop thinking of all the things you need to be thinking of, right? And it's like on the last day of vacation, you're thinking, I need another whole week because I just got relaxed. I just got to the state. And for kids, it can take longer than that too. If they've been trained to do things at a frenetic pace, or, if they've been trained to do, I don't know, anything for a long period of time, it's going to take a long period of time to relearn those habits.
Right.
So be patient and, have lots of grace for that time.
Right. And you're just kind of still getting used to being home together.
Yeah. It's so different. It is so different. You both have to the adult and the children have to
figure that out.
Figure that all out. Yeah. Figure out, how is this working for our family? How is this dynamic going to happen?
Right. So I think that is the case. I think a deschooling period is really important, no matter what age your child is at. If your child has been in school, I mean, even if they're in high school, all the way down to, young child. I mean, deschooling is just, it's important. And if your child has never gone to school, still at the beginning, taking time to observe them and notice them and learn the things that they're interested in is really important. So we just feel like that time at the beginning, rather than it's the first day of school, I'm bringing out all of my plans. Right. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. It's more of just taking a step back and being patient and watching and learning to see what maybe things you could add.
Right. Exactly. I think a mistake that most new homeschoolers maybe make, I mean, even I did, even though I kind of tried not to do this, it happened anyway. I think new homeschool parents sometimes try to make school at home. So they and so what I hear new homeschool parents ask, their first question is, I just decided to homeschool, so what curriculum should I buy, and where should we're gonna start like day one. I got to get going on this stuff right away so they don't miss anything. But I think that's like a mistake. Homeschooling is just a whole new genre of learning. And it's not like traditional school. It's just not going to be, probably not going to be.
I mean, I think some people do that and it works for them, and they find success with that, and I think that's fine if that's you. Yep. I find that really hard to do, even as a former teacher.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Even though that's what I'm used to, that I find it really hard.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Yeah. And you certainly can have that, a more formal or structured situation, but there's still going to be, it's just going to be different than school. Probably.
It's going to be different. Even if you're doing school at home, it's going to be different. It's going to look different.
Yes. And most likely, it's probably going to be a lot different. Some people do like that structure at home, but a lot of people, I think a lot of families are finding it's much better for them and their children to make it look different.
Right.
Than school. So
at the beginning, you're just figuring that out. You're figuring out what it's going to look like for you and your kids and your family. And I think it's important to give yourself the space to figure that out, because, what my homeschool looks like is probably not what yours is going to look like. So you can't like necessarily ask somebody else, copy what somebody else is doing.
Right.
Because you do have to figure out what works for you and your child. And so that's what you're learning.
Although it is good to ask all different types of people. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then kind of just maybe try a few of those things out. Or you might even just have an idea by hearing somebody else what's going to work, what's maybe going to work for you and what's maybe not going to work for you. So it's good to hear about all different things, but I think we only know until we try or
right. Definitely.
So
yeah.
So when there's lots of different ages here that we're talking about, Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like what it would look like at the beginning for a younger child versus an older child?
Yeah, I feel like, well, especially, I think if you're just starting to homeschool a high schooler, I think that's going to look different because your state probably has requirements.
Right.
And things that they have to do. And so even though I think that period of deschooling is really important, and I think figuring out what your child's interests are is important, I also think that a high schooler is probably going to have more of a traditional, their homeschool is going to look more traditional because they're going to have more other kind of classes.
Things they need to
do.
I
think that's probably different. I feel like if you have, junior high and younger, I feel like that's where it's okay to take that time to do some more child-led or interest-led things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for 8 and under, it's probably going to look like an extension of what they've already done, what they do at home on a Saturday, or what they're doing in their downtime, which is like a lot of play. Play is really important at that age. A lot of probably reading, probably adventures, like whether it be to the grocery store or a field trip. Just a lot of life type adventures together. Them helping you cook, or having a few little chores, or working on routines. I think would be important.
So good. Yep.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, when my kids are 11, 9, 9, and 7. And when we started this journey, my oldest was ready to, kind of dive into some work. My other two, my three younger children were at this age where they just, it was so hard to find even time to do work, to do any kind of like traditional work because they were so busy playing. And, I questioned myself every single day, like what's going to happen to these kids? They're playing so much and I can hardly get them to the table. But I also remember thinking, this is not going to last forever. They are not going to want to play like this all day, every day, and get out these toys and create these, worlds, really. And when I looked at it and analyzed it, so much learning was happening. I mean, all the elements of story making, a lot of community building skills, communication skills. I mean, so many things were happening. Language was happening. I was reading aloud every day. So I just felt like, wow, they are learning so much, even in the deschooling process.
Right. And that's really important to let them do that. I mean, I remember too, when my kids were younger and we had to homeschool and they would be playing. And, if you've been homeschooling at all, younger kids, you know that feeling. You want them to do something, but they just start playing. And they start playing beautifully with their siblings at the time that you want them to do some sort of school thing. And you're like, should I interrupt them? How, are we going to get anything done, quote unquote, today? And if I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be, do not worry, just relax and let them play.
Right.
Because that is their main job right now.
Right.
That is their main job. About age 8 and under. It's their main job.
So true. Yep. And then so much wonder comes from that, and like just they're asking so many questions, so much curiosity, and that just fuels this learning. And it's just this amazing cycle that you can see. It's just great.
Yep. And then if you, about the age of 9 to 12, play is still really important at that age.
Yeah.
And there's not, I think if at least most of my kids are in that age group right now, and they are still playing lots. Yeah. Still really important. It looks a little different.
Right. Exactly.
It evolves a little bit.
Yeah. Like for my example, I have a daughter. I've said this on the podcast before, but she loves to edit photos. So she spends a lot of time editing photos. Now, that doesn't look like, it's not the same as playing with dolls, or cars, like a younger child would. But I mean, still, it's just really very much interest led, and creating things that she loves to do. So,
right. And that's, I feel like that's important to, let them go there.
Yes.
Let them have time to go there. Yeah. Yeah. And then also at this age, though, some other things start to take shape where they have some interests that they want to dive deeper into.
Right.
They want to learn more about. They're curious about certain things. And so I think it's real important to listen and learn from your child and hear what they are interested in. And then maybe take cues from them about some things that you could do together that are a bit more maybe academic, but are more tailored to what they're interested in.
Yeah. At age 9, I know there's some developmental thing that happens in a 9-year-old's brain or around 9 years old where they need more independence.
Yeah.
So they might be very happy doing a project on their own.
Right.
And you do, have some limited involvement in that. Maybe you can help ask questions like, what do you need to work on this project? Or, those kind of things where it's like you're more of a support.
Yep.
And I know 9 to 12-year-olds just really appreciate that. And a lot of learning happens in those kind of things too.
Right. And at the beginning, we were talking about deschooling and how that period is really important. But also, you might feel like if it makes you feel better to add in a few things at the beginning to feel like, well, we're doing math this way or we're doing handwriting this way. That's great. You should definitely do that. But I would start real small.
Yeah.
Like start with go to Target and buy a workbook or buy a cheap workbook on Amazon or something.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to start out buying a huge curriculum, and then to only find out that doesn't really work for you, that's hard because you're wasting a lot of time and energy and money. But starting small with a small workbook, see how that works, see how that goes. How do they respond? Because you might end up changing things a lot, especially in the beginning, until you find what works for your style and your kid's style.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is really good. I wish I would have done this more at the beginning too. Yeah. I did feel like there is some kind of safety or security in, buying a curriculum. It feels like, oh, at least I can lean on this if I need to, or something. Right. And if you need to, then do that. But it is not necessary. And just know that it might not be what you continue to use.
Right. You might end up not using it and wasting your money.
And you don't want to force it either. You don't want to say, hey, I just spent a lot of money on this. This is happening.
I've done that before.
Yeah, I have too. I'm learning. I'm telling you from experience.
Right. And, you will make mistakes. You will do that and you will change things.
Yes.
And you will learn from the things that you're changing and the things that you decided not to do. And that's all part of the process.
Exactly. So. Yes, it is. So no guilt, no shame in what you've done or what you are doing. It's all part of the learning process. And
Right. So the other things that we were thinking about, the other kind of couple steps that we do kind of on a continual basis. So after we have that period of deschooling, then we add things in and gradually. So, and this goes for like we're talking about curriculum, add that in real gradually.
Yes.
Activities, that should be added in gradually too.
Right.
I still make the mistake
of
doing too many activities.
Well, I mean, I think there's this knee-jerk reaction that happens where you realize, I need more things to do around here. And then you sign up for all the things. I do anyway. I sign up for all the things because we need it different than the way it is now. But there is a balance where you can add 1 or 2 things at a time or something, There's a way to make it simpler. Just sign up for something maybe that's not super demanding either.
Right. Yeah, so all of the things should be added in slowly, whether it's curriculum or classes or commitments or any of those things.
Yeah.
Add that in real slowly.
And even your own expectations about what you want to see in homeschooling and the outcomes, academically especially, those expectations, just be careful about adding them in so quickly that the whole reason why you homeschool gets lost.
Right.
So.
Right. And then the other thing we do is when something isn't working, take it away quickly.
Right.
So add gradually, take away slowly, or take away quickly.
Yep. Take away quickly.
So if that could be anything from a commitment to a curriculum or a schedule or a way of doing, a process.
Yep.
This is not working. Let it go and don't worry about it. And then think about it a lot. Give yourself some time before you add something else in.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. There's no guilt or shame in that either. Just when it's time to be done, it's time to be done with it.
And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you made the wrong decision. You didn't. It's all a learning process.
Right, exactly. Although, there was a time, I know my daughter who was in a dance class once said, in the middle of the semester, okay, I'm ready to be done with dance. And then I said, well, we committed to the end of the dance class, which is in 4 weeks or whatever, so we're gonna finish that up. We'll finish that up because we said we would. We committed to that. So I mean, I think that's fine, but like now if she came to me in the middle and said, if it were real urgent, if I felt like it was an urgent thing, I'd probably take that more seriously. If it was something that was really, it felt like it was damaging to her soul or whatever, like it just wasn't working, then we'd certainly quit right away. But I mean, it's good to finish things out too.
It's good to finish commitments, things that you've committed to. Yeah, definitely. But those 2 things, adding gradually and deleting quickly, those are things that we both do on a continual basis.
Yes.
Continuously throughout the years.
Yes.
It's just,
I mean, it has a lot to do with our kids. Our kids are ever changing. They're always growing, maturing. They need different things all the time. And I mean, I think that can look it can look maybe flaky or something to somebody who doesn't know what, who's not in this or maybe in touch with what's going on here. But really we're changing not because we just got bored with this thing and it's, we need something new, but it's more just this isn't working anymore. We have a new set of needs. We need to move on to something else too.
Something else is going to work better.
Or maybe it was also just like, I was trying this out and it didn't work. It's okay.
So there are some things that you should consider maybe while you're trying to figure out what to add in or what to delete.
Yeah.
And those might be, just think about your kids and what kind of learners they are and what kinds of things they might need or enjoy. Some kids really like more of the traditional school method. They might like textbooks or workbooks or assignments or a schedule or their expectations laid out for them every day. Some kids really thrive in that, in having that structure. And so if that is your child, you should probably definitely play into that.
Right, exactly. And or like, do you have kids who have a hard time sitting still at a table? Then you're probably not going to sit at a table all day. I have kids who love to learn but aren't great at sitting at a table. Now, do they need to sit and write sometimes? Yeah, they do sometimes. But I first of all, try to really make it fun. Or, I try, it can't be dry, really. That's not going to happen. But so I try to sweeten the deal, basically. And then also it has to be short.
Yes, I was going to say that. Short.
Yep. Short.
These are not like half an hour or hour long sessions. No.
Sometimes
this is like a quick 5 minutes.
10 minutes at the table is fine at a time.
Yep.
Just remember, they're always learning. Even if they're not at a table, they're learning.
Yeah. Right.
So don't worry too much about it.
You couldn't stop that if you wanted to.
Nope. Exactly. It's like a rock rolling down a hill. It is going to happen. That learning. So, but maybe you want them to focus on some kind of learning that, maybe that just has to happen in your eyes, and that's okay. It just has to be, has to be okay with everybody. It has to be okay with everybody. If there are tears, I always, hear this from Julie Bogart, was the first person. I mean, when I read this in her book, The Writer's Jungle, I just felt a weight lifted off me. If there are tears, stop.
Yeah. Nobody's learning when there's tears.
Nobody's learning. Nope.
Right.
You get to stop. You get to decide. So,
yeah. I like that whenever there are tears in my house, I feel this great permission. Well, I have to stop.
Julie Bogart
Julie
so.
said, I cannot plow through this.
No.
Because there's no learning that's going to happen.
No.
So, I guess we'll do it tomorrow.
Or never.
Yep. Or never.
That's what I think. But
yeah. So some other things to think about are, what are your kids interested in? We've talked a little bit about this. What are some of their favorite topics?
Yeah.
What things really light them up right now?
Yes.
And that's where you need to focus your energy.
Yeah.
Because it can be real tempting to focus your energy on things that they're not good at. If you have a child who's not good at math, just not really into it, but really likes, writing, it can be really easy to go, well, she's always writing, so let's really do this math. Let's nail this math down.
Yep.
But we need to focus on the things that they're good at and the things that they're into also.
Yeah. You want to build up that self-esteem and that love for learning. Yeah. That's what you get to do in homeschool. You get to thrive in, your playground, the place that you're really good at. You get to be there as much as you want, and then learn some of the other things. Of course, you need to learn other things, but you do not have to spend all day there.
Right. I was just thinking today, my son is really into geography, and then also like the tallest buildings.
Yeah,
he wants to know.
Oh, that's so great.
What they are, and like rank them and how tall they are, and
that is so
how
cool.
many floors. I know. And I was just thinking, why haven't I haven't done anything with it, but I was thinking, why haven't I done anything with this? We should be like making a chart or
totally
a poster or like cutting out pictures of them.
Right.
And, he would love to have something like that on display.
Totally.
That he can reference.
Oh yeah, he would love that.
And so those are the kinds of things I need to do better at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, even if you don't do those things, he's still learning a lot.
Yeah.
About those buildings.
Totally.
If he's not making graph about it, that's okay.
But if I wanted him to learn math or writing or whatever, why am I not going towards his area of interest?
Right, exactly. And that's such a good idea. Such a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, you have time.
Yeah.
That's the thing with homeschooling. You've got time. You can do it.
Right.
Another good thing that I have found is very helpful, and this is especially with some kids more than others, is just to ask them and, just have like maybe a little meeting or, however it works for your kids. What do you want to learn? How do you want to learn? Would you rather do a project or, or essays or, there are so many good specific questions you can ask them or broad questions you could ask them, and just to help them, communicate what they want their homeschool to look like.
Yeah. One thing that I try and do that every summer. Yeah. But I'll say, just so you know, I'm going to be asking you what you want to learn this year. So be thinking about that. What are some topics you're interested in or things that you really want to do or goals you have for yourself? Just be thinking about that, and then we'll talk about it. And then, a couple weeks later, we sit down and talk about it.
That's great.
And I take notes and make it official so that they know that I'm taking them seriously.
Yeah. When I was really just homeschooling my oldest, I would take her to a coffee shop and we would just, that was really special. Right. Then she got so excited about homeschooling because we were at a coffee shop and then she got to tell me all about her favorite interests too, which is, you know, we all want to feel heard. And so it was just a dream. And so she asks for that every year now. And I probably should be doing that with all my kids now because, but you don't have to do that. But I mean, you know, if you want to make it special in some way, that's great too. You can do that at home though, with lighting candles and, you know, put on some music or whatever, or maybe have ice cream to make or whatever, special. You know,
Another thing that you should probably think about ahead of time, but it's ever evolving, is how much social interaction you are going to need and your kids are going to need.
Yes.
And the thing is, you don't really know until you get into it either.
Absolutely.
You might have some idea, and this does change.
Yep.
Changes year to year. It changes mid-year.
Right.
So,
and you might have some preconceived notions about how much socialness your kid is going to need. You might say, well, my kid is so social. We need things to do all the time or, you know, people to see, which may be true. But also after doing a deschooling time, you may see that they do better with some more alone time, or you might just see things you haven't seen before is what I'm saying. Right. And it could be the other way too. You might think, well, my child just needs a lot of downtime and quiet time and we're not going to go out much. But then you might, after a couple months, you might be like, well, we need a little something. We need a little more. You know, you might find it either way. That's just another thing that you don't know until you do it, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, and I've noticed too, as my kids get older, those who didn't need as much social time are now needing more social time. Yeah. I think it's just natural as you get into the tween and teen years to want to be around friends more. And so I'm having to build more of that in now. So things change and you got to be open to that.
Right.
And I think also the other thing is knowing what you need as a parent.
Right. Exactly.
So if you need more social interaction, you should make sure that you're figuring out how to do that.
Yeah. Or if you think that like hauling your kids around all day every day to events is going to be too much for you, but that's what your kids really want. There has to be. I would say my advice there would be to start out with less. And again, like we said,
and add it
in because sometimes for you, it might just be you need a time of deschooling where you're not driving around for a few months.
Yeah.
And then you might be fine with it after a while.
Yeah.
Because homeschooling activities might just feel different for you than what, the other public school activities or whatever. It's So, but it's good just to start with less. Is basically.
Yeah. I would say I've learned that from you too, and it's interesting because you're an extrovert.
I am. Mm-hmm.
But I have this. I don't know if it's like I'm afraid that things are going to fill up. Yeah. Or like activities or classes are going to fill up and you got to sign up now. Mm-hmm. And you're just so laid back about that. Yeah. You're just like, well, if it fills up, then it wasn't meant to be, or then we're not doing it. So I have my answer.
100% think that. I do. Yeah. I think that 100%. And sometimes I'm like, fingers crossed. I hope it fills up. Kind of. I'm like halfway there, but I just think if I'm not ready to commit, I don't like committing to things. Yeah. Unless I'm really ready. I have to be really far into it in order to commit. Yeah.
But what I've learned from you then is that, things don't fill up, or they do, but it's okay. You found something else.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
I don't know. It's okay. It's okay to wait.
Yeah, that's so true. It's okay.
I can't think of one thing where I've been like, oh, we really missed out on that great opportunity because I didn't sign up for it.
Yeah.
I signed up too late or whatever.
Well, I do get this. I always get an initial urgency when I read something that I want my kids to do. Like oh my gosh, I have to do this right now. But, oftentimes it's like super expensive, or it's 5 months on the road and I'm like, I have no idea what we're doing then. So I can't. Yeah. I mean, I just can't sign up for it at first. And then after, just because I had to wait, I realized I actually that wasn't going to work for some reason. Yeah. There's, a lot of times if I just give myself some time, I realize, why was I
I didn't want to do that anyway.
Yeah. It wasn't the right thing. So,
yeah.
And it may seem, maybe you have not signed up for anything and you're not, you don't have anything on the calendar. So it may look to some people like you have nothing going on, in quotation marks, nothing. But you're doing so much at home. Being at home is so good. There's so many good things happening.
Right. And you're likely not home all the time anyway. Right. Because you still have to run errands and people have to go to appointments and you have to go to the grocery store. And so
or you go to the playground or,
yeah, so
it's
stuff. Still real busy.
It's busy. And I do feel like being at home all day, even if you are just home all day, it's good. It is so good. That's when your kids get to spend time with, thinking about things. They can listen to an audiobook for 2 hours if they want to.
Right.
They can dive into deep playtime, which is so good for their brains. Yep. And for so many other reasons, it's so good. They get to have a snack when they need a snack, or
right.
clean their bedroom. There's just so many good things that happen when you're home, when you have a good chunk of time at home.
Right, because there's the time spread out to do all that
stuff. Yes.
Yeah, so it's not a bad thing.
Right. Or they can just lay in the grass and think about things for a while, and just let their mind wander and ponder, and then they come back with these amazing ideas. So,
right. Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line with everything is always try and remember why you decided to homeschool, and then make sure that when you're making decisions, whether it's a curriculum or an activity or something, that it lines up with those reasons about why you decided to do this.
Right, exactly. Yeah, every decision you make should always go back to, why I'm homeschooling in the first place. Is this lining up? Is it not?
Right. And I mean, I don't do that all the time. I make lots of mistakes in this area. So I'm reaching for that.
Exactly.
Doesn't always work out that way.
Listen, this podcast isn't about how we did this perfectly. So we're going to impart our information to you.
Right. No, definitely not.
This is us kind of counseling ourselves. Really. Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Counseling our former selves.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And kind of me today.
Current. Yeah. All right. I think we should move on to loving this week.
Yes. LTW.
Yeah. Maren, what are you loving this week?
I am loving a feminine product called the Diva Cup. I'm sure many of you use it. It's very popular. Use it instead of a tampon.
Right.
Right. And it's reusable. It's like a silicone cup.
Right.
A little cup.
Yeah.
So I've been using it since I had my first child. I mean, since after that, really.
You have?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep. So,
really?
Yeah, I really love it. Now, I've had to get a few of them since then. But I'm loving it.
So what do you like about it?
So you can have it in up to like 12 hours without changing it. And it's very easy to change and clean, and you don't have any like unhealthy chemicals in your body.
Right. Yeah.
But mostly I just know how it's going to work.
Oh, yeah. That's important.
I usually have pretty heavy periods. So this works for me, which is really amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Because nothing else has.
Right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
That's awesome.
No, nothing.
Yeah, I tried it and I only tried it for a little bit, but I didn't love the way it felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well,
I don't use it.
Okay. So now This is getting really personal. But there are two sizes. One for like before you have babies.
And one for after.
And one for after. So, and then every time I had a baby, I had to get a new one. Because it did feel weird for me after that.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, I probably could try it again, I guess.
Yeah. But it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Great.
Angela, what are you loving this week?
Okay. So I am loving an Instagram follow.
Oh, good.
I don't even know if you follow this person. I haven't talked to you about it. Sean King. Do you follow him? Oh,
no.
Wow. Okay. He is my new favorite. So, okay. So as a white person,
yes,
I am trying to stay informed on what is going on in this world, especially with people of color, especially in our country right now. Right. And so I'm trying to read lots of books or listen to podcasts and things like that to just listen and learn.
Yeah.
And he is like he's on Instagram and Facebook. He's a journalist and an activist.
Okay.
But he posts lots of things about stories that are happening to people of color throughout the US.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like I'm getting a real dose of news.
Oh, well,
like the real news.
Yeah.
Like the real news and what's really happening.
Wow, good.
What's really going on. Because he gets stories that don't show up like on your main feed or, just little known things. Sometimes big, sometimes really well known things, but little known things that are going on.
Yeah.
And I just think it's opening my eyes, which is good. And it's also just things that I don't hear often. So I'm really appreciating his work.
Isn't that so? I just love that there are different ways of getting having access to actual real life news now.
Yeah, totally.
Today, instead of like the 6:00 news, which was never, always necessarily telling the whole story about what's going on here.
It doesn't.
Right? So I love that.
I do
so
too.
Glad to hear about that.
Yeah, Jeremy still watches the news on TV just because he likes to fall asleep to it because it's so boring.
Yeah, yep, I get it.
And so sometimes it's just on, and I just I just feel like we're not talking about the things that need to be talked about.
I know. My parents.
Can we just talk about what's really going on?
My parents watch all the news. All day long, and it is so hard. It's not my favorite. I just don't like it.
No.
Because of that. Yeah, I feel like it's tough, and then it's kind of hard for whatever is on the news. It might not be. I mean, it might be accurate, but it's not the full picture. And then it's a lot of times, for me, violent. Or they're just, it's like stuff that's like.
No, I know.
Kind of not necessary.
Well, especially the national news.
Yeah.
Right. No, I know. Yeah.
So anyway. Oh, that's so great.
So I really like this guy. You should definitely follow him.
I already am.
I think you would like.
I just did it.
Oh, you just did. Okay, great. Wow.
I love those kind of good recommendations. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We also have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything we talked about and our show notes. And you can also find that in your podcast app. So we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Homeschool Unrefined was created by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Thanks to Gambler's Daughter for providing the music for our show. You can find Gambler's Daughter at facebook.com/gamblersdaughtermusic.